All right, welcome everybody. It is January 16th, 2024, and we've got Donovan Phoenix here to explain to us how the Agriscience CDE will work, at least for the 2024 CDE season. Donovan, take it away.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Donovan Phoenix. I'm a PhD student and graduate assistant at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and then I'm also the superintendent for the Agriscience CDE, taking over for Dr. Connor this year as he's on sabbatical. So I'm going to brush through things as an overview, and then we're going to dig into each component of the Agriscience CDE. And as there's questions, please put them into the chat or unmute yourself and stop me, and we can cover them as things go on. This slide deck that I have and all other resources that I'll be sharing, Stacy will be sending that out, as well as I'll show you where you can find these things on the CDE website as well. So to start with, I have some links here that brings you to a couple different important places. The first one is the Agriscience CDE webpage. And similar to all the other Nebraska CDEs, this is where you can find all the pertinent information for the Agriscience CDE, as well as the other CDEs off to the right-hand side. There's also some other helpful links that I apologize if it gets redundant, but I have the links in multiple spots. That way you can't miss them. And then the handbook is here as well. I also have the handbook linked into the slide deck, so when you view that later, you can take a look at that. But the handbook is really the stop-all for any other questions that you have that I don't answer tonight, or if you have other questions later, please feel free to check this out. The handbook does a great job at explaining everything specifically, and pretty much any question that you have, that Agriscience handbook can answer those. The second resource that I have here is the Study Materials and Suggestions webpage. This is a Google Doc. This is also linked into the CDE website. However, this just brings you directly to this document instead of just the Google folder. This breaks down pretty much everything that we're going to talk about tonight, starting with the team activity, the practicum, all the way down through the written exam. So I give some helpful suggestions here, as well as a little bit of background information on what you can expect when you're preparing your teams. And then the second two resources that I have linked in here are the textbook and the text bank. And we highly recommend you purchase these or find these resources. They are available and they're linked in here. The textbook is on Amazon, which I believe is just a little bit cheaper than on the website. The textbook will have all the questions and a lot of the information that you want and the content that you want to train your teams with. And then the second link there is the test bank. And when it comes to the written exam that we'll get to, all of the written exam questions come from this test bank. So it's really to your advantage to purchase this and use this and practice with this. We'll go through what to expect as far as questions and content. But really, if you're using this test bank and the textbook, that covers everything within the written exam, as well as carries over into the practicum that we'll jump into next. Any questions on study materials? Okay. So within the handbook, it outlays the schedule for all the different themes for every year, all the way through 2026. This year's theme is plant science. So the written exam and the practicum will focus heavily on plant science. The three main components of the Agriscience CDE are the team activity for the practicum, the individual career report, and then the individual written exam. As far as supplies and equipment needed, you're only going to need a few things. You're going to need some safety glasses and then some number 2 pencils. Each student should have those when it comes to the lab safety portion and completing the practicum as a team. These are a must. As far as the team activity and practicum, we'll break it down by points. The team activity and practicum is worth 300 points. Within this year's theme, participants are going to dissect a complete perfect flower, and then they'll be identifying and labeling 10 parts of the flower. On the study materials page that I showed earlier, it breaks down the potential parts of the flower that students will be identifying. But again, 10 of those parts students are going to have to identify and then also label. The practicum is worded as a dissection, but compared to the pig dissection or dissecting fish, Really, the dissection is taking apart delicately the flower parts and then identifying each one of them. So we will be providing lab kits and those things when it comes to a traditional dissection. However, the dissection is much more low key than what you would expect last year with the pig dissection or the year before with the fish. When it comes to the parts, I recommend looking up on YouTube or within the textbook that we recommend. It gives you a great recommendation of the different flower parts and what to expect. Again, students are going to be dissecting a complete, perfect flower. We won't be disclosing what type of flower students will be dissecting. However, from that information, you should be able to deduce what types of flowers students will be identifying, and then also focus heavily on the parts. That way students know what to expect and they can dissect or identify a wide range of parts regardless of what flower type it is. Students will also have to match the section. We'll have a matching section that covers definitions, functions of common flower parts. So after the teams complete the dissection and labeling the parts, then they're going to complete a part where they have to define what each part does, and then the textbook definition. Again, the textbook lays this out pretty great, pretty straightforward as far as what to expect and what your students need to know. Any questions on the team activity or the practicum? Okay. For the individual career report, the career report you will be completing or students will be completing ahead of time. This is worth 100 points. Students are going to select a career that they have a strong connection to and a strong connection to agriculture, and then they're going to complete a report on the career. This Ag Explorer website, this is a national FFA resource. I suggest using that. It breaks down what to expect or what all the important information as far as ag careers. And then when it comes to scoring, the last page of the Agriscience CDE handbook has a 100-point rubric that discusses and identifies the point values for the individual career report. I'll discuss some dates and when everything's due, but again, students will be submitting this ahead of time, and then you can register one team. However, you can also register alternates. When it comes to the career report, all registered team members and all registered alternates have to submit the individual career report ahead of time. Again, we'll go through that date here in a few slides, but all team members and all our alternates have to submit that. If we have some alternates that have to sub in and we don't have a career report for them, unfortunately, there won't be any points in this category scored towards your team. And then again, like I mentioned, the career reports, they're due ahead of time. We've set that due date for March 20th. Registration for all CDEs, I believe, are due March 15th this year. So you'll have 5 days to figure out who your team members are going to be and your alternates. And then there's a Google login required Google form here. If you click this link, it'll take you to this Google form. It outlays all the information. March 20th, again, submit by midnight, and you're going to enter all your team members' information onto this Google form. Again, all individuals have to submit this. If you have any questions, you can also shoot me this email. This link is also provided on the CDE website. So right here where it says click to submit the career reports, that's where you can find it as well if you can't find the slide deck. But you do need a Google login required for that because we are going to be collecting email addresses. Any questions on the career report? Okay. The next part, the written exam. This one's worth 200 points in total. Participants are going to complete a 50-question multiple choice exam. Because the theme rotates every year, the content of the exam is going to change. So this year we have plant science. 35 or 70% of this test is going to focus on plant science. So I've included the units. This is also portrayed within the handbook and the rule book. But if you get this textbook, the Agriscience Fundamentals and Applications textbook that I showed earlier, units 15 through 17 and then 21 through 22 has all that content. So when it comes to the exam, you can pretty much guess that any of the content or questions that are provided in the test bank or within that textbook are going to be coming from these 5 units. And then the last 15 minutes or last 15 questions will come from all other non-relating units or non-rotating units, excuse me. So anything from units 1 through 4, 13, 14, and 24. Again, this is in the handbook and the rule book. So 35 questions related to plant science and 15 general agri-science questions. Questions on the written exam. Okay. So some important dates here again. March 15th, all teams have to be registered for the Agriscience CDE through the CDE registration system. You'll be receiving more information as time comes on from other staff members as far as how to do that. But all team members have to be registered for the Agriscience CDE, including your alternates. Then on March 20th, the individual career reports are going to be due. Reports are due for participants and alternates again. And then this is also listed on the CDE website when you drop down to look at the master schedule for when all the CDs are happening. The Agriscience CDE is going to happen on Thursday of state convention in the afternoon to late evening. So make sure that you're planning accordingly. The times are listed here. All schools, regardless of the district, will be completing the exam at 3:30 to 4:30. We'd have really appreciated if you had students start to arrive at 2:45. That way we can start the check-in process for that, and it speeds things up. And then based on your district, all the times are shuffled in here in 3 different waves. The CDE is going to take place in the Nebraska East Union Great Plains room. So right there on East Campus. Large room. Will be rotating the room in between the shifts to make use of for the written exam, but then also for the dissection and the practicum. Questions on the Agriscience CDE or any other content?
Donovan, do you have any idea when students particularly turn in those career reports, what are the areas that Nathan has seen the most issues with?
The biggest thing that we're seeing is formatting and then making sure that everyone's submitting them, including the alternates. So I apologize for sounding redundant, but we've had in years past where alternates haven't submitted and there's been a few issues when it comes to that. So making sure that we're using sound resources like the Ag Explorer would be great. And then also make sure that we're following the rubric right here again on page 9 of the handbook. So this lists every category all the way down to grammar, sentence structure. So make sure that we're vetting these. I understand that these are 9th and 10th grade students, but the more verse that you can have in these different areas, the better. I also recommend proofing them, collaborate with some other individuals within your school district, like an English teacher or English language arts that could maybe work with you and collaborate to proof these for your students. That way you're turning out the best possible product. And also students are learning through the process.
Thanks. Lonnie, have you had students do this contest before?
Yes, I have. It's a good contest.
Where do your students struggle the most?
Career report. This year we're going to follow that rubric very, very closely, and I think get the help with the English teachers, which we've got 2 that are volunteer to help us. So do that, and then I bought the test bank, so have the students work with that on those chapters, and I think that's going to help. And then get some local flowers from a floral shop and actually work with the live flowers doing that. I think it's going to be our best bet.
Great, thanks. Miranda, have you had students do it last year?
Yeah, we had a team do it last year. Since it was the animal focus, Amy like coached them for that. And so this year we're kind of splitting it because we'll have team like kids from both schools competing for districts. So that's why I just wanted to get a general grasp on
Yeah.
all of this. But yeah.
Great. Okay. Any other questions for Donovan?
If you do have any other questions, my contact information is on the CDE webpage. As well as I know that Stacy will be sharing that information out as well. So don't hesitate to shoot me an email and ask for some advice or guidance.
Awesome. Thanks, Donovan. I'm going to end the recording here.